of Faith. I'm your host, Annette Campbell, and today we are with author Susanna Brown. We will be discussing about two books she has written. The first book is How to Become Good and Stay Good, and the second book, See You Soon. So we have noticed that these books have had great impact on many people, and we'd like to learn more insight about the book. Can you first tell us about book one?
Yes, sure. So How to Become Good and Stay Good. I actually written that book, and it's basically about my life story. It talks about my upbringing in Jamaica. That's where I'm originally from. And then fast forward a few years in the future, I came to New York City. And while I was in New York City, I was roommates with a group of girls. These girls were a little bit wild, and I wasn't used to that kind of lifestyle in Jamaica. These girls, they partied hard, they drink a lot, and so I actually started joining in. I was partying hard with them, I was drinking, and I was doing drugs with them, and it ended up after a few years doing that, I became sorely depressed. So depressed that I thought of taking my own life. And it's in the book, it goes into more details. But at that low moment in my life, I remember close to doing it, but when I was about to do it, a voice, or a thought I should say, came to my mind that says, if you take your life, you won't make it to heaven. And that really struck me, and so I don't know, that struck me really hard, and so I didn't go through with it. A couple days after that, I was alone in my apartment, and I saw a TV commercial. It talks about the Bible, which I'm familiar with, and also it talks about the Book of Mormon, which I'm not familiar with. And so I was intrigued, and I wanted to, because they talk about Christ came to a group of people called the Nephites. Never heard of them, and didn't even know Christ came to a group of people in America. So I was intrigued, and after the commercial, they did show put a number at the bottom of the screen and ask if you would like to have a copy of this book. And so I called the number, and eventually the missionaries came and taught me the plan of salvation. So How to Become Good and Stay Good basically kind of dives into my conversion, my conversion story up until my life, up until today.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I'm intrigued, so that's a lot of information that we'll love to learn more about. Before we talk about how many people can get your book, we're gonna just briefly tell me how the title, See You Soon, that's a very powerful title. Can you explain more about the second book?
Yes, certainly. So See You Soon is basically a book about my perspective on the second coming. So a little bit, maybe a month after I became a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I began to experience or see visions and dreams. And one of the visions my first vision that I saw was the second coming. And at first, because I was not familiar with dreams or vision, I didn't know what it was. I was frightened out of my mind. Things were falling around me, and all these crazy things were happening, and I didn't know what it was, and till later on, I actually went to my bishop and asked him, I told him the experience, and then he informed me, those are visions that the Lord has given you. And so now I knew what it was. So over the years, they continue to happen, and I've seen the second coming maybe about 2 to 3 times, and so that really gave me an idea of my second book, to write about the Savior coming back, because he is coming back.
So when you wrote this book, this will be good to read to learn more, but you share your vision, and why because there's stories of many people that share the vision about the second coming. But tell us the purpose why you wrote and want to share your story about the second coming.
Great question. I feel like my stories, I'm not saying other people's stories are not authentic. My stories are personal. They're dear to me. And I wouldn't share these dreams if I didn't see a need. Because we're living in a world right now where I feel like, you know, we're falling far from Jesus Christ. And I think it's very important for everyone to know that He is indeed coming back. Whether we feel He's going to come back or we're going to meet Him, one way or the other, He is coming back.
So it's like a preparation.
It's definitely a preparation, and it's good to know what to expect. And I think, you know, in the Church of Jesus Christ, we always talk about if you are prepared, thank you, you shall not fear. And I feel like if we are prepared, we won't fear. Because a lot of people, I feel, they fear the second coming. And I think it's because they're not prepared. They're not ready. And I feel we need to get ready. Because this life is temporary. And I feel like true happiness or true life starts in the next life. And we need to really prepare for that instead of just living for this world only, which is only temporary.
Thank you. Well, now I have greater interest, you know, to read more, and I would love to know how others can find these two great books that you shared, your personal story. So explain, how can we get this book to learn more about your stories?
Yeah,
where can we find it?
Absolutely. So my first book, How to Become Good and Stay Good, you can find it on Amazon, and the first one, Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. The second one is currently on Amazon, and you can also find my page. I do have an Instagram page, and you can type in Susanna Brown, Facebook page and an Instagram page, Susanna Brown, and that should pulls me up.
Okay, so on Facebook and on Instagram, just look up for Susanna Brown, and you'll learn more about how you can find her book on Barnes & Noble and also on Amazon.
Correct.
We thank you so much for being with us today, and we thank you for all the things that you've been doing and your example of faith. I know it takes a lot of courage to share personal stories, and especially to dive into the details, but a lot of us need it because we all have our struggles, and sometimes we think we're alone bearing these burdens. But to personally share them, it will empower us not to give up and to be strong, and to know that our Savior loves us very much, and your insights about the second coming, that not to fear, and that He doesn't want us to fear, right? He wants us to have love and joy and happiness. That's what the purpose of life, to be joyful.
Absolutely.
And so I thank you for that great insight. So next time we'll see you again on the podcast of faith. Until then, fear not.